sorts of a movie called Jesus Camp. Now, in a previous video that I made, I stated that this video is a pretty good approximation of all of the experiences that I had as a child growing up in Christian churches. And I got a private message from someone saying that this was not a good depiction of evangelical Christians, that this is extremists and that this is not the norm. And I just wanted to rebut that by going through this movie and telling people minute by minute what of this movie in particular reminds me of my own childhood, and what of this movie I can say is an accurate portrayal of evangelical Christians. I also recently screened this movie for somebody else in my home, and on the side I was taking notes so that I could share with you all exactly which points I think are accurate depictions. Okay, so at 5 minutes in, there is a boy in camouflage paint, and although I've never seen in any church someone in camouflage paint like that, especially not a child, I did have to sing about the armor of God, about the breastplate of righteousness, and the Bible being a sword. And also at 51 minutes in the movie, the woman Becky is yelling, "This means war! This means war!" And certainly I saw in my time in evangelical churches people saying that it's a war on evil, and we had to sing songs like "Onward Christian Soldiers." You can find plenty of people on the internet singing that song. I'm not going to sing it for you. At 9 minutes in to the movie, they're speaking in tongues, and that is very much something that I've experienced in a Assembly of God church in Long Beach, California, in a Baptist church, and a Nazarene church in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and in a Zion Presbyterian church in the Republic of South Korea, and in the New Testament Christian church in right outside of Fort Lewis, Washington. I'm a pretty traveled ex-Christian, so I can tell you that I've seen it in all of those churches, and more prominently in the Assembly of God churches. At 16 minutes in, the giant facepalm moment of the homeschooled kid and his mom saying that creationism is the only possible answer, even after debating all the other possible answers. It's something that I did experience where, even though other answers can come up, they are obviously just brushed aside and obviously wrong because they're not from God, and that I did experience. At 21 minutes into the film, the pamphlets being handed out by kids to other kids, that happened to me. I used to get Bible tracts that I was supposed to share with other kids at school. Now, at 26 minutes in, they show the children pledging allegiance to the Christian flag and then pledging allegiance to the Bible. Now, when I was in the Royal Rangers, which is the evangelical church version of the Boy Scouts, we had the American flag, the Christian flag, and then the Bible in the center in all of our setups, and we actually pledged allegiance to all three of those. So what was missing from the film, in my point of view, was the American flag. I've never seen the pledge done for just the Christian flag and the Bible. The American flag was always there as well. At 28 minutes in, Becky is praying over the seats and the building and the PA and the PowerPoint, and praying that storms won't ruin her ministry, and that the storms won't knock out the power. At 31 minutes in, they were using a lot of pop music that was Christian in nature to relate to the kids. They take the type and style of music that is popular and then they just write Christian lyrics for it, and that was going on back when I was a kid. Striper and Petra were the biggest Christian metal bands at the time, and I actually liked Petra. There was Metal Church. I saw the Newsboys in concert. Eric Carmen. Carmen I thought was funny when I was a Christian. There's just a lot of Christian music. DC Talk. I think they were the first Christian rap group. There's a lot of Christian music that just takes whatever is hot in pop culture and then uses it to relate to possible newcomers to the Christian church. So that I completely see as a normal occurrence in an evangelical church. Now, at 34 minutes in, Becky mentions Harry Potter, and she calls it evil and says it's filled with witches and warlocks. And this reminds me of a chapter of my childhood where I wasn't allowed to see Star Wars because the Force was seen as a witchcraft-like power. So I can completely relate to that. And it comes up again at 43 minutes where the kids talk about how one parent wouldn't let them watch Harry Potter and then the other parent would. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had one parent that would let me watch Star Wars and one that wouldn't. At 36 minutes in, and then again at 59 minutes in, we see children being given the microphone to give their own personal testaments, and that is very much an evangelical thing to do. Now, at 44 minutes in, they talk about dead churches, and that is something that I heard about. That's a phrase that it's exactly something that I heard in my childhood, that there are churches where Jesus does not go, and God does not live in those churches because they're not active enough, because there's not enough participation. At 46 minutes in, when the child, who kind of looks like he's regurgitating things that older people must have told him, when he says that he believes that this generation is important, that was the sentiment that I always received as a child, that Jesus, the coming of Jesus was near. At 56 minutes in, when the man says, we didn't come from protoplasm, that kind of willful ignorance of scientific theories, that is very rampant in evangelical churches. At about an hour and 5 minutes into the movie, there is a sermon by Ted Haggard where he is talking about the sin of homosexuality and the punishment for it. And then a little bit after this movie was released, Ted Haggard was involved in a scandal involving homosexual relations and methamphetamines. And that reminds me of a couple of other scandals that came out when I was a kid that were played out on TV. At an hour and 15 minutes into the movie, Becky says that because other religions indoctrinate in an early age, Christians should do the same in order to prepare their flock just as other religions prepare. And that is pretty much my experience growing up in Christian churches. And if you don't think that there's a lot of child indoctrination going on, then I would challenge anyone to just call up a few churches in your community and look for the ones that will be offering vacation Bible school during the summer, and then ask them if you can sit in on a session. And you'll see much the same going on in your own community as goes on in this movie.